What's the story of Morning Glory? What is the word, hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this conversation about a lot of stuff. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the case of Shanquella Robinson. Shanquella Robinson was a young lady in her 20s who had traveled to Mexico with a group of friends last year. Everybody came home safely except for Miss Robinson. So she had met her demise in Mexico, and it was a big mystery as far as exactly what happened to her that ended up ending her life. Her friends had told her parents that it was alcohol poisoning, but when the Mexican authorities did an autopsy, they saw that there were some severe injuries to her spine. I think there was also some head injuries. Then a video had surfaced and had went viral online of one of her friends severely assaulting her. She was absolutely defenseless in that video, while this other woman was beating her pretty bad. Shanquella was not fighting back. I'm not sure if she was under the influence of something or if she was too injured to fight back. Just a big mystery around this case. So when everybody in that group came back to the United States, her parents wanted justice. Now, according to the Mexican autopsy, she died from unnatural causes. Something ended her life, and it wasn't her being sick, and it was not alcohol poisoning. Like I said, there was some type of trauma to her body that caused her to pass away. It seemed like the American government, they investigated to a certain point, and then everything just came to a screeching halt. Now, the last thing that I read before this update was that Shanquella Robinson's family obviously hired attorneys to try to help them navigate through this. And one of their attorneys had said that the FBI they closed the case. Basically, the FBI had said that there was no evidence of foul play, so they really had nowhere else to go with the case. So when Shanquella Robinson's family wanted a copy, because the American government also did, not the American government, but there was an American autopsy. I think it was done by the FBI, so it was the American government. The American government also did an autopsy on Miss Robinson, and her family wanted a copy of those autopsy results, but the FBI did not or refused to give it to them. I remember reading that. Well, now come to find out, it seems like the case is still on. Ben Crump, who is, I guess you could say, like a civil rights lawyer activist, because he's involved in a lot of the cases where people of color's rights have been violated. So Ben Crump is representing the family, and he was able to get a meeting with certain members of the White House this past week, and they had said that they've come to an agreement. The Robinson family and the White House have come to an agreement that they will definitely be reviewing the situation. Nothing has been set in stone. No specifics have been given, but at least it wasn't, a complete shutdown where they said, you know what, everything that's been done has been done, and there's no evidence of any foul play, so we're not going to do anything. But according to Ben Crump, these White House officials had said that they were going to review the matter and see where they go from there. It's just really sad for this family. Your daughter works hard enough to take this beautiful vacation with her friends, which is something that a lot of young people are not really able to do. And her life was over on this, wonderful vacation. Her life was over. People know. And the most frustrating thing is that that somebody in this group knows something, but they're not telling. Why was this girl beating her up? Like, what's going on there? Why can't she at least be held accountable for the assault on this young girl? I don't understand how you can beat up somebody that brutally and it's captured on tape, and then you just walk away as if nothing happened. Like I said, the White House officials said that they are going to be reviewing the case. I think the plan is to work on something, maybe to help with the extradition. The article did say that there was like a main person of interest, and they're working on possibly seeing if they can get this person extradited to Mexico. Now, the article also stated that, and I'm reading this from yahoo.com. The article also stated that it's extremely difficult to extradite American citizens to other countries to face justice. There's a particular law firm in Arizona that specializes in extradition cases where an American should be extradited or needs to be extradited to another country. And this law firm has been in practice for like 20 years or more, and they've only seen it happen less than a handful of times. So it's very, very difficult to get an American citizen to be extradited to another country to face charges in this other country. But we'll see what happens. Moving on from there. So there has been a very well-known case that has been circulating, where it involves, when I read the headlines, it was very heartbreaking. And so I just had to dig a little bit deeper. So a young couple got married in April of this year, 2023. The bride's name is Samantha Miller. The groom was Eric Hutchinson. So this young couple gets married, and as soon as they exchange their wedding vows and the ceremony is over, I guess they got into a golf cart, and I guess they were going to be going to, I'm assuming it was the reception right after their vows were exchanged. And while they were on this golf cart, they got involved in an accident with a young lady by the name of Jamie Lee Komorski. And Miss Jamie Lee Komorski allegedly was driving under the influence when she ran into their golf cart from behind. The force was so bad that the golf cart ended up 100 yards away from the point of impact. Unfortunately, the bride passed away. Her groom was in the hospital in critical care for a while. He had major head injuries, but he did survive. And now Miss Komorski is sitting in jail on a $100,000 bond. So Miss Komorski, from her picture, looked as if, she was probably a young lady in her 20s. They said that her blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit. Absolutely tragic that as soon as this couple gets married, the wife gets killed. Absolutely tragic. So in jail, she's communicating with family members, and all of these communications are recorded. I don't understand why people forget that when you talk to somebody who's in jail, these conversations will definitely be recorded. So the point of the article that I read was that Jamie Lee Komorski seems to be more concerned about her own welfare than she is about the tragedy that she has inflicted on both this bride and groom's family. She's heard telling her father, "I can't believe this is my life, and my whole life is going to be over. Oh my God, I just can't believe this happened to me. Why me? I'm going to be here for years and years and years." And then on other recordings, her father has been heard saying that we don't care about what happened. We don't care about them. We only care about you. And I don't know if this is going to be used against her in her trial. I don't know. But this isn't an article that anybody can read. Even the people in her community can read these articles and hear what's being said. And so this can possibly influence the potential jury pool. And yeah, it's not looking good for Jamie Lee Komorski. Not looking good at all. If she gets away with less than 10 years in prison, I will be shocked. I will definitely be shocked. But the article went on further to say that she does want an opportunity. She's been telling her relatives that she does want an opportunity to apologize to the family of Samantha and Eric. I don't know if that's going to happen. Moving on from there. So we're all familiar with another tragic case that happened in, was it Idaho? I think it was Moscow, Idaho, where the 4 college students were massacred in their home. And I forgot the name. Oh, Brian. Let me see if I can pronounce his last name. Brian Koberger ended up being arrested and charged with their murders, and he has recently pled not guilty. So James Patterson, the famous author whose books have become movies, for example, he wrote Along Came a Spider, and he also wrote Kiss the Girls, among a plethora of others. Very famous, well-known author. He is planning on writing a nonfiction book centered around the Idaho murders. The book will explore violence that disturbed an otherwise peaceful town and everything that led to the investigation and arrest of Brian Koberger. Now, my question is it too soon? Is it too soon to try to capitalize on this tragedy? Even if a portion of the proceeds are going to be going to a charity or to the victim's family, I'm not saying that they are, I don't know, but let's say that they were. Would it be too soon? Should James Patterson wait a while? Should he wait until the dust settles? I don't know. But when I read that, my first inclination was, I don't know, Mr. Patterson. Maybe it's a little bit too soon to try to make money off of this tragedy. Now let's talk about some celebrity news. Our boy Jamie Foxx is still in rehabilitation. We know that he suffered some type of medical condition that his family is refusing to give any specifics of, which is fine. That's their business if they don't want to talk about it. Anything medical, as far as I was concerned, was considered confidential. Jamie Foxx doesn't owe an explanation to anybody. This is strictly between him, his family, and his doctors as far as what happened to him. But rumors have been circulating that it was possibly either a stroke or an aneurysm. These are what the rumors said. The family has not confirmed or denied. Now, the impression is that the reason why the family and those very close around Jamie Foxx don't want to give specifics as far as what happened and as far as exactly what his condition is now is because it might interfere with future projects that he has. So if these movie directors or these movie studios or whoever he has been contracted to work with, if they get wind that he's in very serious condition, that he may not be back to normal anytime soon, he's going to be losing a lot of work. These jobs will be going to other people. We already know that his game show Shazam, he will no longer be hosting that. He was slated to host that. I think it's in its second or third season, I'm not sure. He was slated to host Shazam again, him and his daughter, for the upcoming season, but that job has been given to Nick Cannon because Jamie Foxx is not in a position right now to record that show. So now other stuff is slowly, coming up that he is supposed to be working on, and we don't know exactly what's going to be happening. Now, Mike Tyson was being interviewed on a podcast, and I don't know if it was accidentally or intentionally, if you knew what he was saying, but he had revealed that Jamie Foxx did suffer a stroke, and he had also said that there was in the works a biopic of Mike Tyson's life, and Jamie Foxx was slated to play Mike Tyson. So they asked him, so what's going to be happening to that project? And Mike Tyson said he doesn't know. Everything is really up in the air depending on Jamie Foxx's recovery. Now, like I said, Jamie Foxx is currently at a Chicago rehab facility that specializes in stroke recovery. Whatever is going on with Jamie Foxx, obviously we wish him a very speedy, healthy recovery. I do not want Jamie Foxx to try to rush his recovery just to go keep up with these projects, contracts, or whatever. Your health is all you really have. So hopefully he is doing what he's supposed to be doing. Hopefully he is not rushing his recovery just to get back to work, because this reminds me of Kevin Hart. When Kevin Hart was in this really this really horrible car accident that involved his trainer, himself, and I think his trainer's husband. He ended up walking away from this accident, but he had severe back injury. He had to go through rehab to try to fix his back. And the word on the curb was that he was rushing his rehab to get back to work. And obviously when we see Kevin Hart now, he looks like he's perfectly healthy. Whatever he did, it worked for him, but we really don't know. So when it comes to taking care of yourself and your recovery from a medical condition or an accident, y'all take your time. Please take your time so that you can recover properly and in the most healthiest way possible, and not just, you're just trying to patch things together to try to get back. These jobs, these projects, this money will always be there. So let's slow it down and let's make sure that we make our health a priority. From there, we're going to talk about Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez. This whole Jeff Bezos thing and Lauren Sanchez kind of rubbed me the wrong way. First of all, everybody's grown everybody can do whatever they want to do with their relationships. Everybody is, it seems like everybody's happy. Jeff Bezos, his ex-wife McKinley Scott, Lauren Sanchez is definitely happy. And Lauren Sanchez's husband, well, that's yet to be determined. So Jeff Bezos was married to his former wife, Mackenzie Scott, for 25 years, and they have 4 children together. I think they have 3 biological sons and 1 adopted daughter. They were together when he started Amazon. I'm not going to say they were necessarily poor, but they were nowhere near where they're at now. And so I don't think there was a prenuptial agreement when they got married, because they had no idea. You know, they both were pretty much equal, I guess, as far as income. And so there was no prenuptial agreement. So when he ended up divorcing Mackenzie Scott, or when she divorced him, however way it went, I think Mackenzie got half, exactly half. So it still left him an extremely wealthy man, right? What led to his divorce to Mackenzie Scott was that he was carrying on with Lauren Sanchez. And there were rumors circulating that, you know, they were both cheating on their respective spouses. Lauren Sanchez was married to a big shot in Hollywood. He was the CEO of a major Hollywood powerhouse agency. His name is Patrick Whitesell. Now, Lauren Sanchez and Patrick Whitesell have 2 minor children together, and Lauren Sanchez came into that marriage with an older son that she's had with a famous football player. Well, I don't know if he's famous or not, but he's definitely a football player. So Lauren Sanchez, when she entered her relationship with Jeff Bezos, she had 3 children. Jeff Bezos had 4. Okay, so they were both cheating on their respective spouses. Rumors, you know, were coming out that they were having affairs. The National Enquirer ran this story about their affair while they were still married. And there were pictures and text messages that were leaked with them in very compromising positions. Very intimate communications between the 2 of them was leaked in the National Enquirer. So Jeff Bezos wanted to know, like, who was providing these, you know, very private text messages and whatnots to the National Enquirer. The National Enquirer obviously was not going to reveal their source, and so Jeff Bezos hired a private investigator to find out exactly how they were getting all of this information that was supposedly, you know, very private between him and Lauren Sanchez. So he hired an investigator to try to investigate what happened. The National Enquirer, according to Jeff Bezos, he claims that the National Enquirer blackmailed him and told him that if he did not stop with his investigation on how they got their information, that they were going to continue to leak personal information in their publication. So I don't know if, I guess there was like a standstill then between him and the National Enquirer. Well, I guess his investigation revealed to him that it was Lauren Sanchez's brother, Michael Sanchez, who had leaked all of this information to the National Enquirer. So Jeff Bezos, you know, by this time, him and his wife are no more. Lauren and her husband are no more, I think. And so he was like shouting it from the mountain how much he loved this woman. You know, they were together, they were seen in public together, etc., etc. So once he found out that it was Michael Sanchez, Lauren Sanchez's brother, that had betrayed his own sister and leaked all of this to the National Enquirer, which is like, you know, the trashiest publication out there, Michael Sanchez felt some kind of way about that. He denied it. He said it wasn't him. So he ends up suing Jeff Bezos for defamation in 2020. Well, that lawsuit got thrown out of court, I think because of a lack of evidence, which makes me think that if he could not prove that Jeff Bezos was lying about him, I think he was probably worried that Jeff Bezos could have proved that he was telling the truth about Michael Sanchez. I'm not sure. But the case ends up getting thrown out for lack of evidence, and Michael Sanchez ends up having to pay one of the richest men in the world, having to pay Jeff Bezos $200,000 in attorney fees. So that's where that ended. So now recently we heard that Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez are now engaged. Jeff Bezos proposed to his lady love on a $500 million yacht. He has a $500 million yacht that actually has a helipad on it. You know, the place where a helicopter can land, it has that on this yacht. 416 feet. We all know, I don't even have to go into it, how much top of the line this yacht is. So he ends up proposing to her on this yacht, and she accepts. Her ring is $2 million. Now, this is what kind of rubs me the wrong way. You know, I get a certain instinct about things, and my spidey senses are telling me that this isn't true love. Now, we all know, because we've all heard, the saying that goes, a married man will never marry his mistress. He'll always stay with his wife. Well, in this situation, he married his mistress. And I think that the only reason why he was able to marry Lauren Sanchez, I think it was because Mackenzie Scott had had enough. I think Mackenzie Scott was like, you know what? I'm out of here. You can do what you want because I'm going to get half of everything anyway. So I'm going to be all right. So you can go on with your little mistress and do whatever the hell you want to do. And I think that's what allowed him to marry Lauren Sanchez. I think if Mackenzie Scott had not wanted to go through with the divorce, him and Mackenzie probably still would have been married. But anyways, so Mackenzie Scott handed Jeff Bezos over to Lauren Sanchez on a silver platter, and she was like, you can have them. You can have all of these problems. So now they're engaged, and when I look at their pictures and stuff, I don't know. I feel like Jeff Bezos is like, you know what, all my life, I was doing the right thing. I married the girl next door, cookie cutter life, cookie cutter marriage. And now he sees this, hot Latina, and, she's a beautiful woman, even though, she has had a lot of help in her beauty. She's a beautiful woman. And I think Jeff Bezos was like, yeah, I'm going to live on the edge. I need something a little bit more exciting. I don't know. This is my own personal opinion. This could be the truest love that the world has ever seen. Okay. It could be the most genuine love ever. But my spidey senses are telling me that this woman just happens to be very lucky with men. So she was with a football player, had a son with him. Then she ended up marrying a CEO of a top Hollywood talent agency. He's worth $450 million. Her ex-husband, Patrick Whitesell, he's worth $450 million. And now she's with Jeff Bezos, who's worth almost $140 billion. And check this out, y'all. This is how rich they are. Not only is he showering her with the most expensive clothes, jewelry, gifts, etc., vacations, all of that stuff. She's taking a girls trip, y'all. The rest of us are taking girls trips to Miami or Las Vegas. She's taking a girls trip into outer space, because Jeff Bezos, I think he's associated with that company where, they take private passengers along with an experienced astronaut to outer space, not to the moon, but to outer space. And so she's going to be taking a few of her girlfriends to outer space. That's how they're living. Amazing. So obviously, I hope everything goes well, because there's children involved. So I hope that everything does work out. But I don't know. It's just that relationship doesn't seem like the most sincere relationship of all. Now, speaking of relationships and divorces, Kevin Costner has been making headlines. So Kevin Costner, A-list actor, very successful in his craft, one of the wealthiest actors out there, etc., etc. Many, many years ago, he was married. I forgot the name of his ex-wife, and that marriage ended up in divorce, and it cost him a whole lot of money. She took half. And so Kevin Costner made a promise to himself, never again. So when he got married to his current wife, Christine Baumgartner, he made sure that there was a prenuptial agreement. And all of these reports have been saying that it's an ironclad prenuptial agreement. Okay, fine. So they've been married about 18 years, and they have 3 children together. And I think all 3 children are still minors. So she blindsided Kevin Costner with a divorce. She's filed for divorce. She's had enough of him. And nobody really knows, and maybe nobody will ever really know exactly the true reason of why she's filing for the divorce. There's rumors that he was having an affair with somebody on the Yellowstone set, but I think those rumors have been debunked. So now the rumor is the reason why she filed for divorce is because she got sick and tired of Kevin Costner working so much. He was supposed to scale it back on Yellowstone to spend more time with his family, which he did, and I think this caused, some confusion and some disagreements on the set of Yellowstone, because he was not showing up for work as much. He had reduced his filming schedule drastically. And so because of that, Yellowstone is going to be ending. It's going to be entering its 5th and last season. So I guess she thought, okay, fine. You're stopping Yellowstone. You're going to be spending more time with your family. Well, he turned around and started a brand new project, and it is his Horizon project. So he is filming, or he's working on this major another epic film called Horizon, which is centered around the Civil War. So it's a period piece. And most period pieces, if they're done correctly, are extremely time consuming. Especially, it seems like it's going to be did they say multiple series? I think it's going to be several parts to it. So he jumped out of Yellowstone into Horizon. And so Christine Baumgartner was like, you promised me that you're going to be spending more time with your family. And I gave you an ultimatum. And you thought I was bluffing. Here's these divorce papers. Sign them. So she's filed for divorce. And they say it's going to, even though there's a prenuptial agreement, a so-called ironclad prenuptial agreement, they say it's going to be a pretty contentious divorce, which I'm not exactly sure why it would be contentious if there's a prenuptial agreement. I thought prenuptial agreements, in addition to protecting everybody's property that they have when they entered into the marriage, was supposed to make things really clean and efficient when it comes to the divorce. But I don't know. She's given this man 18 years and 3 children. So I'm pretty sure she's going to be like, bump that prenup. I'm going to get what's fair and what's due to me. So we'll see how that is going to work out. Now, the funny thing about Kevin Costner, he is worth $250 million. Okay, he's worth $250 million, and they say that his wife Christine has the tiniest ring in Hollywood. Is Kevin Costner a cheapskate? I don't know. Moving on from there, let's talk about Shakira and Tom. Shakira is telling Tom, just leave me alone, because it seems like ever since they were seen, Shakira and Tom Cruise, ever since they were seen at the Formula One Grand Prix together earlier this month, rumors have swirled that Shakira and Tom Cruise might be dating. Well, Shakira has vehemently denied that she's dating Tom Cruise. She says that they're just friends. They've been friends for years. They've been loose friends for years, not like best buds or anything like that. Tom doesn't take no for an answer, and so he's been trying to seriously woo her. She's just got over her divorce with Gerard Piqué, I think it is, and I think she's got 2 children with him. Is he a soccer player, like a really well-known soccer player? They have 2 children together, 2 little boys, and Tom Cruise has been pursuing her heavily. Shakira has told her people to let him know that she is politely declining his advances, and it's been really hard for Tom lately. They say that Tom has extremely high standards, and that he won't settle for less. You know, he has very high standards in the women that he chooses, and so he doesn't want to take no for an answer. But I think Shakira is letting him know with clear and convincing evidence that she's just not interested. They can remain friends. And from there, we're going to talk about JayZ and Beyonce. Now, the only thing that I wanted to say about JayZ and Beyonce really was about this $200 million mansion that they had recently bought in California. They made history, y'all. Like Beyonce, like she normally does. She's constantly making history. They made history. So they bought the most expensive home ever sold in the entire state of California, $200 million. The record was previously held at $177 million. So they broke that record. So this property is $200 million, and it's the second most expensive real estate in the whole entire United States. The first is a $238 million New York City apartment, which is, the home was originally listed for so the most expensive in the country is $238 million New York City apartment. So Jay and Beyonce's home was originally listed for $295. So they got it at a discount at $277. It was designed by Japanese architect Tadao Ando, and it was previously owned and built by William Bell, one of the biggest art collectors in the world. And it took almost 15 years to build the all concrete structure. And I heard that they paid cold, hard cash for this property. Lifestyles of the rich and famous. Now, let's go into some miscellaneous news. Now, this is just simply miscellaneous. It's not involving the rich and the famous. This is involving your regular schmeggler, everyday blue-collar workers. So I'm not exactly sure what state this is. This is somewhat of an old story. It broke in 2021, but I just came across it, so I want to talk about it now. So there's a waitress by the name of Ryan Brandt. She works at a restaurant called Oven and Tap. I think that's the name of the restaurant. So on this particular night, she was scheduled to be off, but somebody called in sick. They asked her to come in. She said no problem. So she comes in to work. Well, that particular night, they had a very large table. It was a table of 40 guests. 40 guests. And so I'm pretty sure she thought twice about accepting to cover for somebody, but it ended up working out for her because that table tipped $4,100. I think I'm saying it right, $4,100. It was 40 people, and each person no, it was 44 people, and each person tipped $100. So I think it was $4,400 was her tip because they all tipped $100 each. So at the end of the dinner, the head of the table stood up, made this grand announcement how this waitress, worked her butt off, worked really hard, blah, blah, blah. And so the plan was they were going to tip her $4,400. Now, get this, a little bit of backstory. The customer who was in charge of this huge dinner party, he had called the restaurant previously, before this night. He had called the restaurant and he wanted to know their tipping policy. The restaurant told him that the waiters and the waitresses keep 100% of their tips, but a portion of their salary, I guess their hourly income, goes to the bar and it goes to the runners. But as far as the tips, the waitresses and the waiters keep 100%. So the customer made arrangements. I guess he made reservations for this huge dinner party, 44 people. And so it was the night of, the waitress shows up to work for somebody else, works her butt off, earns her money. The customer gives this speech in front of the restaurant about, how they were going to all tip her this $4,400. And I guess the manager had overheard this because that particular night, that same night, they changed the policy. So instead of the waitress keeping 100% of her tips, she had to give up 80% to the restaurant and she kept 20%. So out of that $4,400, she only kept 20% of that. So later on, I'm not exactly sure when, I'm pretty sure it was pretty soon after that, she tells the customer that the $4,400 tip that him and his party gave her, she had to give up 80% of that. Well, the customer didn't like that. He thought that was unfair because the restaurant had told him that the wait staff keeps 100% of their tips. So he contacts the restaurant. They confirm that yes, they did change their policy. They no longer keep 100% of their tips. I'm not sure if it's any tip or if it's a tip above a certain amount. I'm not sure. So the customer tells the restaurant, I want my money back because that's not what we have bargained for. If I would have known that she wasn't going to keep 100% of her tips, we never would have dined there. So I want my money back. So the restaurant refunds him his $4,400 or whatever percentage that the restaurant kept, the 80% that they kept. They refunded it to him. So he meets up with the waitress later, just the two of them, off the premises of the restaurant, and he ends up giving her the rest of her 80%. So I guess she went back to work and told her coworker or somebody at work that she met up with this customer and got the 80%. Well, the manager found out about it and fired her. And the reason that they gave for firing her was that she was talking too much about it because it was on social media. When they gave her the initial $4,400, somebody was recording it and it was posted on social media. And then I think she went back on social media to talk about how she had to give up 80%. And I think she went back on social media to talk about how she met up with the guy and he gave her back her 80% after it was returned by the restaurant. Whatever the situation was, her bosses found out that she got the money back from the customer. And so they fired her. The restaurant ended up getting a lot of bad press. I think because she did talk about it on social media. They got a lot of bad press. It affected their business, supposedly. So they had to fire her. They let her go. So when the customer found out that she was let go, he started a GoFundMe. Okay, he started a GoFundMe to raise a certain amount for her. They raised $18,000 on the GoFundMe. She got $8,000 of that, and the customer said that the rest of the $18,000 was going to be given to the next wait staff that they have. Not just all the $18,000, but whatever is going to be kept in a pot, I guess, for them to give these large tips to future wait staff. So yeah, the girl was fired. The moral to this story is you don't have to tell all your business all the time. You know, some information it's okay to keep to yourself, because maybe she would have kept all of her tip, would have gotten the 80% back from the customer, and she still would have kept her job, and she just would have shut it. Now, a rest in peace to Jim Brown. Now, I didn't know Jim Brown like that, y'all, but I'd had heard of him. And I think, yeah, I'd had heard of Jim Brown. I know, you know, what he looks like, but I didn't know exactly the impact that he had on sports, on pop culture, and on social activism. He died at the age of 87 years old. He was a superstar athlete. He was an actor, an activist, an author. He was born James Nathaniel Brown in Mississippi. He graduated in 1957 with a Bachelor of Arts degree from Syracuse University. His father was also an athlete. His father was a professional boxer. In college, not only did he play football, but he also played lacrosse, basketball, and he also ran track. Several awards, accolades, and recognition for his athleticism. He was an outstanding athlete throughout his college career and his professional career. I think he played for the Cleveland Browns only his entire NFL career. He was inducted not only into the Hall of Fame for pro football, he was also inducted into the Hall of Fame of lacrosse and college football. After his football career was over, he became an actor, a well-known actor. He starred in The Dirty Dozen, Any Given Sunday, Mars Attacks, He Got Game, The Running Man, just to name a few. During the 60s and 70s, he was booked and busy. In 1969, he starred in a Western called 100 Rifles with Burt Reynolds. His love interest in that movie was Raquel Welch. Now, needless to say, Jim Brown is an African-American, Raquel Welch, Caucasian actress. And there was a steamy love scene between them. And it made the press because of this interracial love scene. It made the press. I'm so glad he lived to tell about it. As far as television, he made appearances on Chips, Knight Rider, T.J. Hooker, and The A-Team, amongst others. He worked with Pam Grier, Spike Lee, Burt Reynolds, Richard Roundtree, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tim Burton, Oliver Stone, Kevin Costner. He was like Hollywood royalty. And just a very successful transition from football to acting. Rest in peace to Jim Brown. But unfortunately, there is a little bit of a tinge on his legacy, which is he was an abuser. He put his hands on women. This is documented out there. This is not me just making speculations and allegations. It's actually documented out there. Unfortunately, this is known about him, that he did put his hands on women. But nonetheless, rest in peace to Jim Brown. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Go ahead and subscribe. And I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.